Yes, brother. Let's start again. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Let's start from where we left.
Okay. Where we left?
Yeah, from here. The extant literature from this line. Can you see? I shared it.
Yes. In the field established the relationship is central to success. The organization change. Okay. In the present study, the leadership demonstrated by the change management team was described.
Brother, this is very important paragraph. This one. Sorry to interrupt you. This is very important paragraph. So you have to read it with full focus, and I will explain. Okay. The extant literature. Yeah, please, brother.
Just if they want to make notes, just
Yeah, please take your time.
दूसरे सीजन की क्योंकि आज तो लाइट ही बड़ी बंद होती गई है
okay, brother.
Yes, sir.
The extent literature in the field established that leadership is central to success of organization change. Okay. In the present study, the leadership demonstrated by the change management team was described both positively and negatively by the interviews.
Yes.
In accordance with their views of other matters, the majority of interviewers expressed mixed opinion about the change leadership. As the following two quotations exemplify. Management job is to make things happen, and you have to provide your service in a way that people think it's appropriate. And what I say about is that some managers focus on managing crises when they happen. They don't look down the road and anticipate that going to happen. So they can be proactive.
So did you get the meaning of this whole passage?
Yeah, but I want to explain.
Yeah, it says the extant literature, extant means the present literature in the field established that leadership is central to success of organizational change. It says that the present literature, according to Cotter, Cohen, etc., this is the leadership is very important for the success of an organization. If you for an success of an organizational change, then in the present study, the leadership demonstrated by the change management team was described both positively and negatively by the interviewees. This is we discussed earlier because the interviewees had mixed opinion, positive as well as negative. Then it says, in accordance with the views of other matters, the majority of the interviewees expressed mixed opinion about the change leadership, as the following two quotations exemplify. The two quotations, first one is, management job is to make things happen, and you have to provide your service in a way that people think is appropriate. According to one of our respondents, our supervisor, he says, this is the duty of the higher management to make the change smooth and steady. It has to take the people in confidence and make them think that change will be in their favor. So first one, this is giving an intention that making change favorable or changing the attitude of people is also the responsibility of higher manager. Then another response says, what I would say about that is that some managers focus on managing crises when they happen. they don't look down the road and anticipate what's going to happen so they can be proactive. It says there are certain type of managers who do not pay so much attention to the crisis. When there is a crisis, they just solve it and keep the things going on as it is. This is a negative comment. Rather, they should try to find out the reasons and try to communicate to the lower staff that change will be positive for them. But rather, some managers do not look at the road and they keep on driving their car and they are so proactive. Proactive means they are very, very active, and sometimes they are even they even change the opinion of people in a negative way. So, are you getting the sense of this passage?
Yes.
Yes, brother.
Yeah.
Okay, brother. Now you move on.
Where we was, yeah. However, the interview recognized that there were planning challenge regarding the new workload and job roles, as well as the delivery of training program for employees. Moreover, the schedule for change was considered to be optimist, and this risk staff become exhausted. Quotation below example some of these concerns. No different from other
I am
administrators
not,
worry that
yeah.
would be delivery on budget, or that they will have a bad impact on people. I have to talk to people face to face, and we know that some will want to leave and other will have to told to leave. I have to think about their future and help them while they.
Yeah, this is actually an
Exactly.
opinion. Hmm. Hmm. So, are you getting this is the opinion of one of our respondents regarding the process issues? These are not so much important with respect to the questions, but at least we have to read them and we have to make links in our mind.
Shall we go to the outcome?
Yes, Bismillah.
Outcome, it will be the last one.
Yes, brother.
The interviews express view regarding what constitute the most important result of the organization change, and their response, including issue such as job
Redundancy.
redundance, amendments to the organization policies, new approach to the customer service, and new job descriptions.
So, are you getting it or not?
So, yes,
Yes. Okay. Okay.
thought was also given to impact that external factor, including government, competitor, and general population can have on change, as following quotation exemplifies. A change of government can create a doubt about whether things will be done or how long they will take. This response illustrated some of issue and concern that employees are likely to encounter with their organization transition from the public sector to the private sector. Although Org's 2006 model did not provide the basis for the coding scam employed by the current study, there was considerable overlap between Org's model, which was primarily concerned with the resistant organization change with reference to different aspects of the personality of employee, and the grounded theory approach adopted by the present study. Can you explain this one for me, please?
Yeah. From here, these responsibilities. Okay, it says These responsibilities illustrated some of the issues and can concerns that employees are likely to encounter when their organization transitions from the public sector to private sector. It is talking about some issues, some drawbacks which employee can face when an organization changes itself from public to private sector. Although this is a researcher we will talk about the model. Although Oreg's model did not provide the basis for the coding scheme employed by the current study, basically Orex is a very well-known, you can say, researcher in qualitative study, and many people, just like Creswell, Oreg, they are the gurus of interview type studies. It says Oreg model did not provide the basis for coding scheme employed by the current study, although it was not primarily related to this model, but there was a considerable overlap between RX model, which was primarily concerned with resistance to organizational change. But our studies finding they were overlapping with RX model because primarily concerned with resistance to organizational change, because we also know that in our interviews there were many employees who were resistant or who were against the change, or you can say who showed unfavorable or negative attitude towards the change. So our findings were quite synonymous, quite similar to Orex model. This also gives a positive, indication that our research is genuine and it is relevant to the previous literature also. Then, with reference to different aspects of personalities of employees and grounded theory approach adopted by the present study. Grounded theory approach means that we are exploring the perceptions, the behaviors of people regarding the organizational change. Overall, this passage says that there is a famous model from the OREC, and who says that normally employees are not favorable to change. This is a summary of RX model in the literature when I was reading. And what happened with our study, I reported here that, you reported here that our findings are overlapping with RX model, because according to RX, employees are normally not favorable to the change. And same in our case, half of the employees, almost half of the employees, they were not having a favorable attitude towards the change. So we are in line with the RX model. And also it says why it happens, because the personalities of employees, every person has his own personality, so that's why different opinion. And also we are using grounded theory approach. Grounded theory approach means that you do not blindly follow a pre-existing theory. You research by your own and you explore new facts, and then you see whether in the previous literature there are some theories relevant to my findings or not. So here we are saying that ORX model is quite relevant to our findings also. So grounded theory means you are not following up an exact theory. Like we never discussed a theory in our whole thesis that we are following this theory. No, we are exploring the something new. We are trying to exploring the perception of people regarding privatization, regarding the change. So this is what we are trying to say here. Then it further says the similarity helped to justify the choice of model used by the present study. This similarity actually gives us more confidence that we are going in right direction. Why? Because our findings are similar to OREC. Are you getting the point, brother? if
Yes.
yeah, so no one can criticize. Let's suppose if someone says, where in the literature you're finding where in the literature you can justify your finding. So without any doubt, we can say that, dear sir, you can see the model of OREC and then you can see the finding of my study. These are quite similar. So this is a big answer to anyone who criticizes about the finding of this study. And you have to, whether please remember this name, OREC 2006.
Okay.
So this
This
similarity
similarity
help.
help,
Yeah, please, you now move on.
this similarity helped to justify the choice of model used by the present study and confirm its usefulness for the gaining of the opinion employed during the period of organization change in form, privatization, as it's including the following element: opinion about the change process, emotional experience during the change process, and opinion about the result. The main issue for interview in the present study were the benefit and negative aspect associated with the change process, the planning challenge, and communication information about the change, similarly to the finding of the previous empirical literature in the field. What do you mean by similar to finding of the previous empirical literature in the field?
Yeah, let me tell you. It says the main issue for the interviewees in the present study were the benefits and negative aspects associated with the change process. This is the main issue. Interviewees are the person who are involved in the interviews or the participant. The main issue for the interviewees in the present study, in our study, were the benefits and negative aspects associated with the change process. That's why this is the main issue with respect to their side. That what are our benefits and what are our drawbacks with respect to the change process, and planning the challenges and communicating information about the changes. Then, similarly to the finding of the previous empirical literature in the field, empirical literature, brother, means, in research term, empirical literature means the literature that has been published and verified previous time, in the previous, just like OREC, just like other researches we cite. These are all the empirical literature. It says, similarly to the findings of previous empirical literature in the field mean in the field of privatization, in the field of organizational change, etc. The employees tend to focus on negative developments engaged by the organizational change. So the previous empirical literature, the previous researches, they emphasize that normally the employees, they normally focus on negative side related to the change process. Normally, employees are not in the favor of change. This is also a finding of our study, and this is also reported in the empirical study of Cotter and Cohen and Nedler, 1987. Are you getting it now? It means now we are supporting our study. Now we are supporting our argument with respect to the previous literature. This shows that our study is valid. Whenever somebody will Google these names, he will realize that yes, his findings and the findings of Mr. Neff study are similar. So its research is genuine, and he has written right.
However, they also identify numerous positive aspects of the change. How we could say a positive aspect of the change with the negative change. With example of this finding, improvement to training, customer service, and the work structure, as well as high wages and staff being assigned different responsibility. The
So
vast
this is another
majority
side.
of employee welcome. Yeah. the vast majority of the employee welcome the improvement to training performance and employee behavior. The result Thank you. The result illustrates the extent to which change can engage both positive and negative development, and emphasize the need to maximum both positive and negative development in equal details. The study conducted by noted the need to conceptualize how employee response to organization change in terms of their multi-dimensional attitude that are unlikely to be there entirely positive or entirely negative. Nevertheless, in the current study, it was apparent that interview made greater reference to the negative aspect than they did on the positive aspect.
Normally, we are.
If someone asks, which from the three, could we see the manager and supervisor and the ordinary employee at the same category here or no?
No, they are. They have their own different opinions. They are not in the same category. Most
we could say negative aspect, then they did the positive aspect. Who's related this one to as a majority?
This is relating as a majority. As a general, it's saying generally negative aspects are more dominant than positive. This is a generalized statement.
Okay.
Yeah. As compared to positive aspects, negative aspects are more dominant in the answers of the respondents. Our respondent also, and also in the previous studies, we also come to know the previous empirical researches, previous verified researches, also substantiate, also corroborate, also assure that the employees are normally consider it a negative aspect when they think about organizational change. But yes, there are some positive sides also, like training or salary increments, etc. But we have to make a general statement. So generally we can say that in current study, our interview show us that negative aspects are greater as compared to the positive aspects.
Okay.
Yes. Then
the effect of our organization level.
Yes.
The current study sought to confirm the extent to which the precision of the manager, supervisor, and non-supervisor differed. Generally, the individual at different level with the company raised similarly issue, and all of the change teams identified were discussed by several people at each level. Therefore, there were similar reference to both positive and negative aspects across board. However, under some of them, the manager primarily discussed either the negative or positive aspect of the change, while for other, it was non-supervisor staff. In general, the executive comment their interview by describe either the positive outcome of the change or their own or more general positive attitude. Meanwhile, the supervisor and non-supervisor were far less likely to do so. These differences across level of the organization hierarchy were present under all the three general category of themes.
Are you getting it, or do I need to explain further?
Yeah, but these difference across level of organization hierarchy were present under the three general category of themes. Could you just explain this one?
It says these differences across level of organization's hierarchy were present under all three general categories of themes. Like it says, we have three different categories of themes. It is also because of the reason that we took our interviews, we conducted our interviews from different hierarchical levels. Let's suppose if we didn't conduct our interviews only from the executives or from the lower staff, just because we conducted our interviews from different hierarchical levels, therefore we have come to know and we have come to generate different themes. This is what it's saying. Some managers, some are expressing negative views, some are expressing positive views, and in the similar fashion, supervisory and non-supervisory staff, they also express their views. So in the end we come to manage three different types of themes because of different hierarchical levels.
Okay, that's mean here we don't talk about um, three general themes. We don't talk about the emotion and process and outcome. We talk about the hierarchy.
Exactly. We are saying why different types of theme come. Just because different types of interviews we conduct from different people, so that's why different themes come. We are not talking about outcome issues or attitude issues here.
Okay. Emotional and attitudinal issue and outcome.
Hmm.
Among the participants of the present study, there were more discussed by the supervisor and non-supervisor than by the manager
Hmm.
of interpersonal and division conflict. The
Hmm.
following question this response.
Hmm.
The current seems an element of mistrust among various departments of the company. This
Hmm.
mistrust is related to the issue of downside
Downside.
and the collect of responsibility by different departments. The
Hmm.
reason is that various functions of different departments may overlap.
Hmm. 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 Yeah,
Due
this
to
is
the
a
limited budget
hmm.
available for the change process, conflict of resource such as space was apparent. Previously study in the field found that group members tend to favor their own group and places greater differentiation with and negative toward silent out group, especially when the group identifies insecure
Hmm.
or other treat the group source. Therefore, it was unsurprising in the context of the present study that intergroup conflict and division emerged when the group were in contact with other and competing
Hmm.
for limited resource,
Limited
as well
resource.
as facing change to group membership from the restriction role change and
And downside.
downsizing.
Hmm.
Meanwhile, the supervisor and non-supervisor mention conflict between individual, professional, or unit with the organization more frequently than the manager, while the manager mentioned conflict between company and the state level policies that may affect them more often. These
Hmm.
differences may reflect differences in the silence of different identified during the change process, in which the organization identity of the
Hmm.
manager or executive is more significant but for other employee. Their work unit or professional identity can be more important. The
Hmm.
following quotation example the conversation made in the context. I guess that where I see that it does not it does set up some of conflict with the system of the management and change of the management. You might have fighting or ignore between work until the division exists as
Hmm.
except yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, please. If you have confusion, so.
As expected, when the
Uh-huh.
manager or executive discuss the employee attitude toward the change
Hmm.
and the relationship between employee, they were more likely to mention them positively.
Hmm.
Moreover, the manager also expressed the opinion that privatization can gender great organization efficiency and ultimate higher profit. The previous study in the field also found that managers are more positive about organization change. Surprisingly, it was supervisor in the present study who expressed the most positive attitude about the change in terms of impact both themselves and others. This may be due to the fact that change process at the company provide multiple opportunity for supervisor to be involved, including the formatting of user group in which are cross-section of employees from different parts of the organization was involved planning implement specific aspects of the change. There was considerably comment regarding the positive aspect of the design of the positive effect of positive change. Meanwhile, although the non-supervisor expressed enormous negative view of the change, they also expressed positive view that lower level employee can process both positive and negative view in the same context. They were different in the voice of uncertainty for the employee at the three organization level. The study conducted by Bordy proposed that experience of different type uncertain such environment, structure, culture, and the role it's related to employee position in the organization hierarchy. The result of the current study supports this belief because the executive appears to be concerned with the structural uncertainty, such as the involving policy structure and practice, but the supervisor and non-supervisor were more concerned with job security change to job role and likelihood of the being promoted. This is broadly concurred with the finding of Armstrong state that executive believe they don't need to be overly concerned about job security. Although this is not the case for supervisor and non-supervisor have considerable concern about the security of their position. This reflects the relationship between employee turnover and uncertainty of employee. Nevertheless, staff at all levels of the company repair the feeling of uncertainty.
Overall, basically, this is a debate going on, brother, between previous researchers and our research. This is not something like 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. This is an open debate going on. So we just have to, keep in our mind what's the previous studies and what is the our. This last line basically is the summary of our finding that staff at all level at NWC referred to the feeling of uncertainty.
Okay, brother.
Yeah. So then there come some the process issues.
Yeah, the process issue, which is I think it's the last one.
Yeah.
Do you want to take 5 minutes, brother, or it's okay?
No, I'm okay. I'm perfectly okay. No problem. But these are no debates are going on, brother. These are not like something technical. Have you read them before or not? These process issues and outcomes, etc. Have you read them?
Yes.
So
Yes.
if it's better if you have any problem or if you have written some questions, then you can ask me, and we have to also discuss the issues.
Okay.
These are the
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, these are the process issues, brother. We have 4 days. It's 13. We have Alhamdulillah 4 days, so you can read those process issues and outcome issues, and then conclusion and recommendation. When you will read by yourself, mashallah, you are at that level. When you will read them by yourself, you will understand all the things. Now, what I want to open that email and let's see how to tackle them on the day of 17th. No problem, we can have Even we can have meetings daily till 17th. No worry from that side, because I want to make it happen for you, inshallah. Let me open the email. Light on कर देंगे. Let me open the email first.